Hey everybody, it's Jessica Engelke here, and I am so sorry that I'm not able to join you at your conference and your panel discussion, but thank you from the bottom of my heart for including me in this. I am currently with my business students on a field trip, so I'm spending time with them this week during your conference, but a few of them have decided to help me answer some of the questions. So here we go. All right, so the first question, I've got one of my students asking me,
what are some of the things that shaped your leadership style?
Well, I think I have to go back to some of the first jobs that I ever had. And I think about the good bosses that I had and the bad bosses that I had. And I always took every sort of scenario that I had and I learned something from it. And just like all of you, I probably had some very bad experiences, but the things that I remembered is how I wasn't going to treat someone. And I was going to work really hard to either it be a student or an employee that I was working with someday, or maybe even now in my role as mayor, a constituent in the community, is that I'm going to treat them with respect and kindness, because I didn't always necessarily have that. And so instead of being bitter about that, I turned that around and I thought, that is not who I'm going to be. And so those were some formative years, and it's a lesson that I try to share with everybody is you always can learn from every experience that you have and choose what you don't like about that, and it'll help form your leadership style.
When did you step into your leadership style and own it as your own?
I think that I've worn a lot of different hats, whether it be like in the community as a teacher, and I'm always changing. I certainly have developed over the years about how I want to treat people. It took me a long time to, I think, develop a style as a teacher, and the students have changed. So I don't know if there's even like one particular style that it's just, I guess the way that I want to answer this question is I really try to be authentic, and that is something that especially in my mayor role, I've really had to see evolve over a few years. I know that I'm not always going to be able to make everybody happy. And so being somebody who can maybe deliver bad news, maybe again, whether it's like a student or a person in the community that wants something that we can't do, that style has continued to evolve, and especially as the roles change too.
Can you talk about a time where you weren't the lead and what did you learn from that?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, throughout the different things that we do in our career, sometimes we're the lead person and sometimes we're the worker bee. And then it's always a little bit tricky if you're used to being the lead in something and then need to take a step back a little bit because somebody else is in charge. So this is where I've just always tried to be a good listener. I'm thinking, I don't have a specific scenario to share right now. I guess one of the things that, like, when I look at it, I try to just know that sometimes the role is to listen and be supportive and write down questions, help the person, and try to still be as supportive. Maybe you're not necessarily like the decision maker, but you have a lot to add to the conversation. And so just trying to figure out like when is the appropriate time to do that, okay? And that can be like a little bit tricky, especially if you are normally like the leader in the situation and now you're coming in it from a different perspective and you need to add value to it, but you're also trying to like not step on anyone's toes.
What do you know now that you're the lead?
Okay. So these are always really fun ones to answer, especially if it's like, what do you know now? And like what you would do differently if you could like go back in time. And probably like the biggest thing that I've learned is it always comes down to communication. And I would rather over communicate than under communicate with people. So I think no matter what you do, be the person that sends the follow-up email. Right? We all have so many things that are on our list, like follow up with your customers, follow up with your clients, follow up with your students. Sometimes even from like a perspective as a teacher, I'll hear people say like, oh, why do you send out like weekly reminders? Because they already have it in their syllabus or things. I'm like, hey, we're all humans and there's a lot coming up with us. So I think it is perfectly fine to over communicate. I would much rather have somebody say, gosh, you share so much information than I never hear from you at all.
How do you engage your audience?
All right. Well, I think this is a question, and of course this conference is about a lot of people coming together from different industries, and you got to know where your people are. So for me personally, I like to be a storyteller. Okay, I take pictures and I share stories on Instagram or Facebook because, especially if it's from a mayor situation, that's where a lot of people are, is they're in those social media platforms. That's just how we get news these days. But I also am aware that not everybody is on those platforms. So we try to share important things that are happening in the city, not only just on social media, but also on our internet too, like just our webpage. And then, the thing at the end of the day is like, how do we reach people? You got to figure out who you're working with. I have students right now, I've got some club students. I know that they probably prefer a text from me instead of an email. So if it's something important that we're trying to track, I need to have it through school, maybe through an email. But if it's just more casual things, I can send it to them through text message. But really the most important thing to think about during on these sort of questions is like, how do we reach our people? You got to know where your audience is, whether it's something that you're selling or people that you're working with, where are they, and then be on all those platforms. Remember, it's always better to over communicate than under communicate.
How do you make your environment or space your own?
Okay, so right now I'm in the middle of a classroom, and so I don't necessarily have an office. So I'm going to answer this maybe a little bit differently than how somebody would say, this is what my bedroom looks like, or this is what my living room or my office looks like. To me, it's not about like the physical space, but it's about the mindset that I'm in. And so this morning when I was getting ready for work, there's been a lot going on in the news. And I like to listen to the news. I like to make sure that I'm aware of what's happening for my students. But today I thought, I need to maybe have a refresh. And so I have a playlist on my Spotify. Sometimes I listen to some music that I like. And today I was listening to Tibetan bowls because that just kind of gives me like a fresh sort of kind of relaxing moment. And although it's important to listen to the news for a variety of reasons, sometimes that can also be unhealthy if you don't have boundaries around that. So it's not necessarily just the physical spaces that I'm in, but it's about what am I hearing and listening to around it. I do love things like candles and lighting just to make sure your home is like cozy and all that, but also be aware of like what's playing in the background because that can really create the spaces that you're in.
What does your no look like?
All right. Well, this is a great question for this panel because I know that everybody that's probably in this room at this conference, they're doers. And the doers get asked to do things all the time. And so you've probably heard it before that no is a complete sentence. And in my family, we have a little bit of a philosophy where sometimes we'll say like less is more. So, and especially women will do this where they say, no, because I need to do this and that. You don't need to give an explanation. No. You don't have to say it's because I want to take my daughter to a birthday party or I've got to go do this. Just know. You can be kind about it. And that's probably one of the biggest lessons that I always try to share with my students is that you can say anything if you're kind about it. And I like to tell people like, oh, I'm so glad that you're doing this, or this sounds like an incredible thing. I'm not able to participate, but I wish you the best of luck.
How do you prepare yourself for an event or just for the day?
All right, thank you. So I'll tell you a couple of things that are very true to my heart is that I believe that everybody deserves 30 minutes of exercise a day. And that might look like something completely different from everyone else. But oftentimes we hear like, I don't have time, or it's like, I'm too busy. And you have to take care of yourself first. It's that thing about the airlines, right? Like you got to put your oxygen mask on first. And if you don't do that, you can't take care of yourself. So whether it's a brisk walk or you like to, I like to run with my dog, things like that. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm not going to be my best self if I don't take care of myself and eat right. Also, if you know me, I love lipstick. So how I prepare, I'm always putting on a little bit lipstick.
How do you create trust, build your network, and what brings people back to you?
It's about being authentic. And I love what I do. You can hear it in my voice. I love teaching my students. I love being the mayor. I love being a professor, and I love being a mom. And if I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it. And I think that you can't fake that. And so if you ever see me stop doing some of these things someday, you know that I don't love it anymore. But if you find the things that are important to you, that is going to come out in your personality. It's going to come out in the work that you do. And it makes people feel like they can trust you. And I try to be honest about things, and I enjoy what I do. So that is the last question that I have for from the panel. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time to include me in this, even though I can't be here. We're on an amazing field trip right now in Portland. And I think everybody is doing a fantastic job out there, killing it in the industries that you are in. And I appreciate the hard work that you do for all of your communities. So thank you.